Today I'm again back with another pattern observer that which also comes under behavioral pattern. In this pattern we are going to cover the templates of what the intent of this observer, also known as the motivation of this observer, and applicability structure based on the participants of the observer, collaboration, and what are the advantage and disadvantage of this observer, nothing but a consequences, and the implementations of this observer known as, and finally related patterns. These are the templates which we are going to cover under this observer pattern. Let us see the first introduction about this observer pattern. Coming to the introduction about this observer pattern. Observer pattern. Observer pattern is used when there is a one to many relationship between objects, such as if one object is modified, its dependent objects are to be notified automatically. In such a case, we are going to use this observer pattern. Based on this introduction, let us see the example for this observer pattern, that which makes easy to understand this observer pattern. I am going to consider real time example for this observer pattern. I consider an example for Flipkart. It explains about a detailed explanation about an observer pattern. In that I am taking an example of Flipkart. Flipkart is nothing but an online shopping site where the user can log in and search the products like LEDs, refrigerators, washing machines, and so on. In such type of products we can purchase or search here in this website. Then the user can choose the products and purchase it what he wants. That is the use of this Flipkart site. And right side I am seeing here some of the persons named as Tom, Ram, and Sam. Tom, Ram, and Sam, these are the three persons we are seeing at this right side of this diagram. Here they want to purchase a product of LED from the Flipkart. They want to purchase a product of LED from the Flipkart. What they do is they log in into this website and they will try to search and purchase the product of that what they want, or they purchase the product based on their required qualities and based on their required company. So when they enter into this site and they will search the product example as LED TV, in that if they want to choose a particular model, they will search for it in this website. If in case if the model they want, the product is not available, then it will show the status of not available. But these three persons wants to buy the same brand of TV. What they can do is, in Flipkart there is an option of notify me. What the notify me does, these three persons will register into this notify me. I mean they will use the option as notify me and they will enter their details and they will register into this Flipkart by using this option notify me. When the product is available, then the notification will be sent by using this notify me. So that means that notify me option has been used here to notify the persons who requested for the product when the stock is available. So when the stock is available, then the status will show as available, then available rather than not available. So when the status is available, then they will try to purchase it. When the product is not available, they will register into notify me option. After a few days, the product is available, it will send the message to them via mails that the product is available and you can log in and you can purchase the particular brand that you want. Like that the notification will be sent by using this notify me. So based on this explanation, based on this structure, we can say an example of this observer pattern. In this observer pattern, we will consider two important components. Those are, the first one is subject and the second one is observer. Here the left side, we are seeing that a flip card, nothing but we are searching the product of LED TV, that will become as a subject, and we call it as a subject, and the observer part will become as an observer, where the persons are searching for the product. So he will become as an observer 1, observer 2, observer 3. So these total will become as an observer, and these will become as a subject. These two will become as a main component in our structure. As per our observer design pattern, observer has to register to the subject. In this case, these three, Tom, Ram and Sam, have to register to the subject, that to send the notification to them when they requested for a particular option, when they requested for a particular condition. So this observer has registered, and whenever the state has been changed in the subject, that should send the notification via notify me to observer. That means the example which you have seen in previous is nothing but searching a product of LED TV. If the TV is available, they have to send the messages, rather than not available. It has to send the messages as available rather than not available, sending the messages via using email to the observer. That means the LED product is available to purchase. So this is one of the best example, we can say best real time example while we are using in our real time. That is nothing but flip chord to say about an example of observer pattern. Let us see in detail about observer pattern. That means we go about knowing about our observer pattern based on the templates. In our observer pattern, the first template is intent. The intent of an observer pattern is defining a one-to-many dependency between objects, so that when one object changes state, all its dependents are notified and updated automatically. That means when there is an one-to-many relationship between objects, such as if one object is modified in that, its dependency objects are to be notified automatically. That is the intent of this observer pattern. And our next template is also known as, these observer pattern also known as dependents, publish, subscribe. Dependents and publish, subscribe. These are the also known as, or another name for our observer pattern. And our next template is motivation. Coming to the motivation of our observer pattern, what the template of motivation says is what the problem has been occurred and how it is going to solve by using this pattern. So what the problem has been occurred is when a common side effects of partitioning a system into a collections of cooperating classes is the need to maintain consistency between related objects. You don't want to achieve consistency by making the classes tightly coupled, because that reduces their reusability. To see this, let us consider an example of a graphical user interface toolkit that which separates the presentational aspects of the user interface from the underlying application data. Here we consider an example. Classes defining an application data and presentations can be reused independently. They can't work together. Both a spreadsheet of object and different presentations, the spreadsheet and the bar chart doesn't know about each other, thereby letting you reuse only the one you need. But they behave as thought they do. When the user changes their information in the spreadsheet, the bar chart reflects the changes immediately and vice versa. That means when the data has been changed in a spreadsheet, that should be affected on the applications which has been dependent on this spreadsheet. That means either in a spreadsheet formula or a bar graph or in a pie chart. Let us see one more example for this motivation of this observer pattern. The best example that we know is a Smalltalk MVC, model view controller. The best example we know is a Smalltalk MVC, model view controller, that which we have already known about this. This is one of the best example we can say for this observer pattern. In this, the behavior implies that the spreadsheet and the bar charts are dependent on the data object and therefore should be notified of any changes in its state, and there is no reason to limit the number of dependencies of objects, dependency of two objects. There may be any number of different user interfaces to the same data, but the observer pattern describes how to establish these relationships, and the key objects in these patterns are subject and observer. A subject may have any number of dependent observers. All observers are notified when the subject undergoes a change in its state. In response, each observer will query the subject to synchronize its states with the subject state. This kind of interaction is also known as a publish subscribe. The subject is the publish of notifications. That means it sends out these notifications without having to know who its observers are. Any number of observers can subscribe to receive this notification. We already seen this example in previous itself. So, whenever the modification has been done in a subject, that should be reflected on these observers. That means what the applications are dependent on this data, that should be modified automatically based on this subject. When the modification has been done, so that notification should be sent automatically and the data has been updated. So, this is the motivation about this observer pattern. Let us see our next template, that is nothing but an applicability.